Imagine walking up your own front porch on Christmas Eve, expecting the familiar noise of family laughter and clinking glasses, but instead finding only darkness. No smells of roasting turkey, no wrapping paper scattered across the floor, just silent rooms glowing with the twinkle of tree lights, and, on the dining room table, a single handwritten note. For 10 years, I've been your maid and babysitter. This year, I chose myself. The chaos that followed would become legendary in my family. For me, it was freedom in the purest form. Before we unwrap that chaos, let me step back. My name's Linda, and for 10 long Christmas Eves, I wasn't a guest at the holiday dinner, I was the staff. It began innocently enough. At 26, newly independent, I had just bought my first home. A 3-bedroom ranch with a big, bright kitchen and a dining room straight out of a holiday catalog. I remember that first December, proudly inviting everyone. My brother Kevin and his wife Patricia came with their trio of sugar-fueled children. Emma, 7, Tyler, 5, and baby Sophia. My parents, Mary and Paul, arrived soon after, armed with casseroles and unsolicited advice. That first year, I didn't mind the constant hum of judgment. I was too proud, too excited to host Christmas in my home. It felt like the symbol of true adulthood. But one holiday became 2, then 5, then 10. The invitations stopped being optional. My address simply became the family headquarters. By year 3, tradition meant that my house transformed into a live-in daycare and catering hall run exclusively by me. Kevin and Patricia would drop their coats on the couch and instantly vanish into the living room, glasses of wine already in hand. Their children, energetic, sticky, lovable whirlwinds, became my responsibility by default. While they built pillow fortresses out of my sofa cushions, I juggled cranberry sauce, gravy, and mashed potatoes like a one-woman restaurant, dashing between stove, oven, and sink. Meanwhile, my parents conducted mid-dinner performance reviews. Linda, this gravy is too thin. Why didn't you make stuffing from scratch? The children are loud. Can't you control them? Kevin and Patricia never even glanced toward the kitchen. By the time everyone sat down to eat, I was exhausted and borderline delirious. But the true torment started afterward, after dessert, when everyone migrated to the living room for gift opening, and I was left ankle-deep in dishes. Mountains of pots, gravy pans, and spilled crumbs. My own house no longer smelled of pine and cinnamon. It smelled like burned labor. When my boyfriend Stephen came into the picture 3 years ago, it took exactly one Christmas Eve for his jaw to tighten with outrage. "Linda, why are you doing all this alone?" he asked as he slid another tray into the dishwasher. "It's my house," I replied automatically. "I'm the host." "No," he said gently, shaking his head. "You're the help." He wasn't wrong. But changing a ritual carved in family stone felt impossible. Every time I suggested a rotation or potluck style, the chorus answered on cue. "Your house is perfect, Linda," Kevin would say. "Besides, you're so good at hosting," Patricia chimed in with practiced innocence. "We'd love to help, but the kids get overwhelmed in new places. They're so comfortable at your house, and my parents. Linda, don't be difficult. It's Christmas. Family is supposed to come together. Translation? You do the work, and we'll take the credit. Last Christmas should have been special." Stephen and I had been dating 3 years, and I was quietly hoping, truly praying, that he might propose. I'd even splurged on a deep green velvet dress that made me feel elegant, like the version of myself I never got to be around my family. Instead, the night repeated every painful beat. Kevin and Patricia arrived early, colonized my living room, and tuned out. Within an hour, Tyler spilled grape juice on the carpet. My parents criticized everything from the tablecloth to how I'd folded the napkins. By dinner, my beautiful dress was speckled with grease, cranberry stains, and exhaustion. When the door finally closed at 10 o'clock and only silence remained, I collapsed against the counter and sobbed. Stephen wrapped his arms around me and whispered, "This has to stop." "But it's Christmas," I said weakly. "Tradition doesn't mean anything if it only hurts you," he murmured. "That's not family, it's servitude." That night, lying awake next to him, I stared at the ceiling and pictured the coming year. The sinking certainty of déjà vu. 10 more Christmases exactly like this one, maybe 20. The thought made my chest ache. Over the next months, Every disappointment stacked like plates in that never-ending sink. Kevin's constant emergencies where I had to babysit last minute. Patricia's lazy texts, "You're at the store already, can you grab diapers?" My parents' weekly demands that I drive 40 minutes for Sunday dinners they'd never reciprocate. When I got the flu and begged for help, silence. When my car broke down, they were too busy. They only appeared when something needed doing. Stephen noticed every slight. "You bend over backward for people who wouldn't cross the street for you," he said one night after we'd canceled our anniversary dinner because Kevin had once again flaked on his babysitting. "Promise, they're family," I muttered. He looked at me quietly for a long moment. "So am I. But they don't treat you like one." The words landed hard, right where truth hurts most. By the time October turned into November, the dread in my chest had already started its annual climb. Usually, that was the cue to start planning menus, buying wrapping paper, preparing to destroy myself for everyone else's comfort. But this time, something inside me had shifted. Instead of writing shopping lists, I caught myself fantasizing. What if I just didn't host? At first, the thought itself felt radical, like sneaking out of some invisible prison. But the more I imagined it, the freer I felt. What if I didn't cook? What if I didn't clean, babysit, organize, or sacrifice my Christmas Eve for people who would not even notice unless their wine glasses went empty? By mid-November, the fantasy wasn't just a dream. It was a plan, forming in soft outlines. That's when Kevin called. "Hey, just confirming Christmas Eve. We'll be over around 4, same as always. Patricia's craving your stuffing. Save room for dessert." His effortless assumption hit me like a slap. "Kevin," I said slowly, "I haven't actually confirmed that I'm hosting this year." There was a beat of confusion. "What do you mean?" he asked, as if I'd said the sky was closing. "I mean," I said, my voice calm, my pulse surging with something that almost felt like courage. "Maybe we should talk about doing things a little differently this year. Maybe rotating houses or Linda. Come on, your house is perfect for Christmas Eve. The kids are used to it. Besides, Patricia and I don't really have the space to host 8 people. But what if I have other plans?" Kevin laughed. "Other plans like what?" The dismissal in his voice was like a slap. "Like what? Like a life outside of serving my family. Like desires and dreams that didn't revolve around their comfort. I just think maybe it's time to switch things up," I said, my voice smaller than I wanted it to be. "Linda, don't be weird about this. It's Christmas. We need tradition, especially for the kids. You know how much they love Christmas Eve at Aunt Linda's house." After I hung up, I sat in my kitchen staring at the phone, feeling something crystallize in my chest. It wasn't anger exactly, though that was part of it. It was clarity. Kevin hadn't asked me what I wanted. He hadn't considered that I might have other plans, other dreams, other ways I'd like to spend Christmas Eve. He'd simply assumed that I existed to make his family's holiday magical. And when I'd tried to push back, even gently, he dismissed my feelings entirely. That night, I called my parents to test the waters. Maybe they'd be more understanding, more willing to consider alternatives. "Mom, I was thinking about Christmas Eve this year." "Oh, good. I'm so glad you called. Your father and I were hoping you could do that green bean casserole with the crispy onions again. It was so good last year. Actually, I was wondering if maybe we could try something different this year. Maybe everyone could bring a dish. Or Linda, honey, you know how much we love Christmas Eve at your house. It's become such a lovely tradition. Besides, your father's back has been bothering him. And it's so nice to just relax when we come over. Relax." While I worked myself into exhaustion, making sure everyone else could relax. But what if I wanted to relax too? I asked quietly. "Oh, sweetie, you love hosting. You're so good at it. And honestly, nobody else has the space or the skills to pull off Christmas Eve the way you do." The way she said it, like my exhaustion was a source of pride. Like being good at something meant I was obligated to keep doing it forever, made something break inside me. That's when I knew this Christmas Eve would be different. Not because I was going to confront them or have a big dramatic fight, but because I was finally going to choose myself. Planning my Christmas Eve escape felt like the most rebellious thing I'd ever done, and also the most necessary. It started small. 2 weeks before Christmas, I called my landlord, Mr. Peterson, and explained that I'd be traveling for the holidays, and wanted to suspend access to me spare key that I kept with the building management for emergencies. "Of course, Linda," he said kindly. Going anywhere special? Just visiting friends? I replied, which wasn't technically Ailey. Next, I reached out to my college friend, Jennifer, who owned a cabin about 2 hours away in the mountains. She'd been inviting Stephen and me to visit for years, but we'd never taken her up on it because of family obligations. Jennifer, this might sound crazy, but are you free on Christmas Eve? I was wondering if Stephen and I could possibly stay at your cabin. Linda, of course. I'd love to have you. What's the occasion? I'm choosing myself for Christmas this year, I said, and saying it out loud felt like stepping off a cliff. Jennifer was quiet for a moment, then laughed. Good for you. It's about damn time. The cabin was perfect. Remote enough that I wouldn't be tempted to rush back if my family guilted me, but cozy enough that Stephen and I could have the romantic Christmas Eve we'd never been able to have. Jennifer stocked it with firewood, hot chocolate, and even a small Christmas tree. Consider it my gift to you, she said, when I tried to pay her. Everyone deserves at least one Christmas where they get to be selfish. The hardest part was keeping the plan secret from Stephen until the last minute. I knew he'd support me, but I also knew he'd worry about the fallout. It was easier to present it as a done deal. On December 23rd, I packed 2 suitcases, one for me, one for Stephen, and hid them in my car. I went through my house, removing all the Christmas decorations I'd put up out of habit, leaving just enough to make it look like I'd started decorating, but hadn't finished. I bought ingredients for Christmas Eve dinner as usual in case anyone checked my grocery receipts later, but I donated all the food to a local shelter instead of bringing it home. On Christmas Eve morning, I set the table with just 2 place settings, beautiful china that had belonged to my grandmother, candles that I'd been saving for a special occasion that never seemed to come. For the first time in years, my dining room looked elegant instead of chaotic. Then I wrote the note. It took me 6 drafts to get it right. Long enough to explain, short enough to have impact. For 10 years, I've been your maid and babysitter every Christmas Eve. I've cooked, cleaned, and catered to everyone while you relaxed in my living room. This year, I chose myself. I hope you understand someday that I deserve to enjoy Christmas too. There's a lovely restaurant downtown that takes reservations. Merry Christmas, Mary Linda. At 3 Laos, an hour before my family was due to arrive, Stephen came over to find me standing in my empty dining room in a beautiful red dress, car keys in hand. Linda, what's going on? We're going to have Christmas Eve at Jennifer's cabin, I said, my heart pounding. Just the 2 of us. No cooking, no cleaning, no babysitting, just us. Stephen's face went through several emotions. Surprise, concern, and then pure joy. Are you serious? I've never been more serious about anything in my life. What about your family? I gestured to the note on the table. They'll figure it out. Stephen read the note, then looked at me with something like awe. Linda, are you sure? They're going to be furious. They've been taking me for granted for 10 years, I said. Maybe a little fury will help them appreciate what they've been missing. We loaded our suitcases into the car and I took one last look at my empty, peaceful house. For the first time in a decade, my dining room table wasn't covered with serving dishes in chaos. It was elegant, serene, waiting for a Christmas Eve that would never come. At least not the kind of Christmas Eve my family expected. As we drove away, my phone was already buzzing with texts from Patricia, asking if she should bring anything, from my mother asking what time we should arrive for appetizers. In a few hours, they'd get their answer. At exactly 4 while Stephen and I were settling into Jennifer's cabin with mugs of hot chocolate and a roaring fire, my family was using their key to let themselves into my house. I can only imagine their confusion. Kevin calling out, Linda, we're here, and getting no response. Patricia walked into the kitchen, expecting to find me frantically preparing dinner, only to discover empty counters and a cold stove. My mother's voice probably getting sharper. Linda, where are you? The kids run through the house looking for their aunt, finding no presents under the tree, no cookies on the counter, no signs of the Christmas Eve magic they'd come to expect. And then finally, someone noticed the note on the dining room table. My phone started ringing at 4:17 p.m. Kevin's name on the screen. I let it go to voicemail. It rang again immediately, Patricia this time. Voicemail, then my mother voicemail, my father voicemail. Kevin again voicemail by 5:30 I. Had 14 missed calls and a stream off text. Messages that started confused and quickly escalated to angry Kevin. Where are you? The kids are asking for you, Patricia Linda. This isn't funny. We're hungry and the kids are getting cranky, Mom. Linda, call us. Immediately, this is very inconsiderate. Dad, your mother's very upset. Come home right now. Kevin, are you seriously going tour in Christmas for 3 innocent children? Patricia, I can't believe you're being this selfish. Mom, after everything we've done for you, this is how you'll pay us. Kevin, fine. We'll figure it out ourselves, but don't expect us to forget this. Stephen read the messages over my shoulder as they came in, his face getting darker with each one. Linda, look at these. Not one of them is asking if you're okay or safe. They're all angry that you're not there to serve them. He was right. In 14 missed calls and 27 text messages, not a single member of my family had expressed concern for my well-being. They were upset that their Christmas Eve servant had disappeared, not that their daughter and sister might be in trouble. The last message came from Kevin at 8:43 p.m. We ended up ordering pizza and driving to 3 different gas stations to find ice cream for dessert. The kids cried, "Mom has a headache. I hope you're happy." Actually, I was. Stephen and I had spent the evening cooking together in Jennifer's tiny cabin kitchen. Nothing elaborate, just steaks and roasted vegetables and a bottle of wine we'd been saving. We ate by candlelight, talked for hours, and opened small presents for each other by the fire. For the first time in 10 years, I enjoyed Christmas Eve. I laughed. I relaxed. He felt beautiful in my red dress instead of frazzled and exhausted. Stephen told me I was glowing and I believed him. We fell asleep on the couch in front of the fireplace, wrapped in blankets, completely at peace. Christmas morning brought a new wave of messages, but these were different, calmer, more manipulative. Mom, Linda, sweetie, I know you're upset about something. Let's talk about it like adults, Patricia. The kids kept asking where Aunt Linda was. Emma cried herself to sleep. Kevin, I don't know what we did wrong, but we can work this out. Dad, your mother didn't sleep all night. She's worried sick about you. The guilt tripping was expertly crafted, designed to make me feel selfish and cruel for choosing my own happiness over their comfort. A year ago, it might have worked. I might have rushed home with apologies and promises to make it up to them. But spending one perfect evening prioritizing my own needs had given me clarity I'd never had before. These messages weren't about love or concern. They were about control. They were about making me feel guilty for setting boundaries. I turned off my phone and spent Christmas Day hiking through the snow-covered mountains with Stephen, feeling lighter than I had in years. When we returned home on December 26th, I found a voicemail from my mother that was different from the others. Linda, I've been thinking about Christmas Eve, about the note you left. Maybe we have been taking you for granted. Your father and I would like to talk when you're ready. Kevin's voicemail was less apologetic, but more honest. Look, I guess I never really thought about how much work you put into Christmas Eve. The kids missed you. We all did. Maybe we can figure out a better way to do this next year. Even Patricia had left a message. Linda, I'm sorry if we made you feel unappreciated. I know you work hard to make Christmas special for everyone. We should have helped more. But the most important realization wasn't in their messages. It was in my own heart. For 10 years, I'd been afraid that if I didn't make Christmas perfect for my family, I'd lose their love. But what I'd discovered was that constantly sacrificing my own happiness hadn't earned me their love. It had earned me their expectation that I'd continue sacrificing. Real love doesn't require you to exhaust yourself for others' comfort. Real love doesn't dismiss your needs or take your efforts for granted. Real love appreciates what you give and never demands what you can't. This year, I'm hosting Christmas Eve again. But it's different now. Kevin and Patricia are bringing side dishes. My parents are handling dessert. Everyone is staying to help clean up. And for the first time in a decade, I'll actually get to enjoy the party I'm throwing. Sometimes the most powerful gift you can give yourself is the word no. And sometimes the people who claim to love you need to lose your constant yes before they can appreciate what they've been given. My family learned that love isn't a servant's duty. It's a choice. And this year, for the first time, I'm choosing to stay because I want to better, not because I'm expected to be. That empty house on Christmas Eve taught them something I'd been trying to show them for years. I'm not their maid, their babysitter, or their holiday coordinator. I'm their family, and I deserve to be treated like it. If this story resonated with you, you're not alone. So many of us have family members who mistake our kindness for obligation. Drop a comment telling me about a time you finally chose yourself over family expectations. I read every single one. And if you enjoyed this story about setting boundaries during the holidays, smash that subscribe button because we've got more family justice stories that'll make you want to prioritize your own happiness. Remember, you can't pour from an empty cup,